school.
Now, from when you were brought up, going through elementary, middle, and high school, and you know how they always ask you, and they always ask you to write essays and to speak in front of the class and tell the class what you wanted to be when you were older. What did you tell them? What was your answer at that point in time when you were growing up?
I knew what I wanted to be at a very young age. From the time that I was little, even to now, my first love has always been acting. And so when I was writing those essays, I was always like, I want to be an actor. You know, you got kids, kindergarten. I want to be the president of the United States, or I want to be a firefighter. And I was just like, this is what I want to do. I want to act, and I started embracing that at a young age, trying to pursue that career path.
So you're still pursuing that
Yes.
ongoing. So being an engineer is not where you're stopping at. You're going to continue your path and your goals.
Right, right, right.
Okay, awesome. What is your long-term objective, Mr. Mixing and Mastering as an engineer?
My long term objective is to basically be one of the most successful, or actually be the most successful person in the entertainment industry. I do more than just engineering, mixing, and mastering. There's so many other things that I do uh, in front and behind the scenes. So I just want to make sure that I can utilize all of my skills and talents to just dominate the entertainment industry.
For someone who is oblivious to mixing and mastering like me, I just know music. I listen to it. I turn on the music, turn the
Right.
CD on. I go to YouTube and I Google what I want to listen to. So I don't know the whole behind the scenes of mixing and mastering.
Right.
Obviously, because no one really sits down and think about that.
Right.
They usually listen to the music, right?
True.
So what's mixing and mastering? Explain that to me.
Mixing is the art of taking different sounds and making them blend. Everything has a way that it's supposed to be in a song, and the mixing engineer's job is to make sure that it blends. The mastering portion is basically taking the mix and enhancing it, making sure that everything is balanced all across the board. It's just like if you were building a house and you had the tool that sits on top of a flat platform, and it should be balanced. Everything in music is about balance all around. So the mastering portion is making sure that everything is balanced.
True. So not everyone can mix and master, right?
No, no, not at all. Just listen, people. Just because you go out and you buy all of this equipment, and because it's cheap, or you might get it from a pawn shop, just because you got all this equipment does not mean that you know how to use it. And
You're that.
that's the main mistake that a lot of people make. That's why a lot of artists end up going out and trying to get their songs played on the radio, and the people at the radio station are turning them around saying, this is not right, this is not standard, this is not good for us to put on the radio, because you're going to your cousin Pookie them house, who just bought up all this equipment, up there talking about, man, I just got this set up, and then you're recording with them, and then they send you on your way. Listen, there's a lot more to mixing and mastering than just pushing a few buttons.
So you pretty much have to go to school to be able to get the full logistics of mixing and mastering. You can't just teach yourself in YouTube.
Well, I won't say that you have to go to school, but it definitely helps a lot.
A lot.
Because without school, you won't know exactly what you need to study. But school gives you a sense of direction as to what you need to study upon, what tools you'll need, and just all the basics. You could very well go out. There's nothing in this world that you can't go out there and try to learn yourself.
Right.
But the thing about school is that it gives you a sense of direction when it comes to trying to figure out exactly what you need to learn to pursue this.
So pretty much, stop going to your cousin Nene house and trying to mix the master. Okay, you cannot be an engineer if you do not go to school and get the holistics and everything. Okay, not everyone can be engineer. Not everyone, right?
Anyone can be anything that they want to be if they're serious enough and passionate enough about it to try to learn it the right way.
The right way.
Right.
No shortcuts.
No
right?
shortcuts.
No shortcuts. No shortcuts. What is mastering engineering worst nightmare?
A mastering engineer's worst nightmare is a horrible mix. There's nothing you can do with a horrible mix. The mix has to be a proper mix for the mastering engineer to be able to properly master it.
What is a horrible mix? Because what sounds good to me might not sound good to you. What I like, you might not like.
That's the whole purpose of going to school. It'll train your ear. You know, you have to have a trained ear first and foremost, and that's what school can help you with. They can help you learn how to fine tune your ear so you'll know the difference between what sounds good and what doesn't. And what is determined as a good mix is basically a song that, like I said, everything blends. Every instrument sound sits on a certain frequency, and you have to make sure that all of those instruments are sitting on their frequency and sitting where they're supposed to sit. And you also have to make sure that the vocals aren't clashing with the instruments, and the instruments aren't clashing with the vocals, and the instruments aren't clashing with each other. Everything has to be where it's supposed to be to where it blends.
Okay.
You know, you can't have a vinegar and oil type of situation. You have to have everything, you know, blend together, and that's what makes for a good mix.
Like you can't mix peanut butter and pickles together, right? It's just doesn't go together.
I wouldn't eat it.
What level should the final mix be exported for optimal mastering quality?
As far as the level for the master, I like to go with 0 dB. If everything is mixed the way that it should be, and everything is mastered the way it should be, it should never have to surpass 0 dB. dB, for those who don't know, is decibels. And
See, I didn't know.
yeah, so the level should never surpass 0 dB, and if it does, you know, you could experience some technical difficulties as far as, you know, it being too loud, popping your speakers, or most importantly, damaging your ears.
Right. If I were to go and master all of my songs for an album separately, is that a good idea?
No, it is.
What would you suggest?
My suggestion is, if you have some singles, you know, go on ahead and get those singles mixed and mastered. But when you get ready to master an album, you have to master all of those songs together, because every song may have a different level. You know, one may be loud, one may be soft, and you know, if you try to master them separately and then throw them on an album, then everything's not balanced. You know, track number 1 may be loud, then track number 2 may be low, and then track number 3 may be loud, and you know, you don't have a clear, clean balance. So if you're going to master an album, you have to make sure that you're mastering all the tracks with the album together so that every song is on the same accord.
So if I was interested in doing my own mixing and mastering, what are some key steps you would tell me to do and not to do? What are the do's and don'ts?
If you want it to be an engineer mixing and mastering, first thing I would say is learn as much as you possibly can, because that knowledge is what's going to drive you as an engineer. You have to have a trained ear. You have to know about sound frequencies. You have to know about sound waves. There's a lot of math and science that goes into it that you have to know about. So that's first and foremost. The very next thing that I would say is if you do decide to go to school for it, don't just stop your learning there at school. One thing that I learned is that school is going to teach you the basics, but every engineer is different, and every engineer's way of mixing can be different. That comes from experience and techniques and things of that nature. So when it comes down to trying to learn it, don't just stop at school. Learn your own style, your own technique, and that would be the thing that will separate you from all of the other engineers.
I know you, as we've been talking, you've been learning a lot going through as an engineer from school to now and mixing and mastering. You learn a lot, and you pick up a lot, and you experience a lot of artists, and you see a lot of things every day.
Right.
What are the key things that stick out to you working with artists in the studio, and what are the things that you would never forget, you always remember, that you could probably tell generations from now, looking back on inside Bam Bam Studio as an engineer? What have you learned working with so much people?
One thing that I've learned is how to read people. This business, you have to know how to work with all different types of people. You're going to run into different types of people. So one thing that I've learned is how to deal with different types of people, how to make sure that no matter what their background is or what their personality may be, how to ensure that you all can work together with, the least amount of conflict. And so that's one thing that I've learned. Also, I've learned patience. I mean, that's one thing that an engineer needs is patience, because you're going to deal with a lot of people who come in and they may not be the very best artists.
Right.
Their music may be horrible, and you may just be like, oh, why are you wasting my time? But you have to have that patience.
Right. How do you break down being honest with an artist, letting them know they don't have the potential of being an artist?
I never tell anyone that they don't have the potential to be anything. That's not my place. I feel like you can be whatever you want to be, but one thing that I do say is you have to work on it. Some people have natural talent. Some people have skills that they have to enhance. And when it comes to certain artists, if it's a singer and she or he is not the best singer, I may try to coach them on, toning their vocals a bit, but I'd also tell them, like, continue to work on your singing,
Okay.
And, with rappers, if he or she may not be the best rapper, I tell them, brush up on your skills, read the dictionary, read the thesaurus. I'm sorry, I can't get that word out. Read the thesaurus. Just try to work on your craft, because everything isn't going to always just come easy to you. But if you want to be the best in what you do, you have to work.
Now, going back to the question before the last, you spoke about patience, and I know that was one of the things you said that an engineer has to have as a quality. What else do you need to have to be able to be an outstanding engineer?